सुभाष जी वो जान हिंद आ गए, है नाज जिस पे हिंद को वो शान हिंद आ गए। सुभाष जी वो जान हिंद आ गए, है नाज जिस पे हिंद को वो शान हिंद आ गए। सुभाष जी।
Jai Hind. My dear students, in my last speech on 5th March 2020, I have clarified you how the Congress, Communist, Muslim League and British jointly encouraged the riots just to divert the attention of the people from the present state of affairs. Regarding Netaji affairs, INA affairs, revolt in Royal British Indian forces, and especially from the Red Fort trial affairs, etc., etc. Besides that, the treacherous role of Indian historians who were the empaneled in writing history for academic curriculum, omitting all those serious events, suppressing all those serious events, the historians propagating only non-violence means through which we have achieved the freedom. In this episode, one major thing was also astutely omitted by the historians from the history from the history of the rebellions who took part in Royal British Indian forces to dismantle the same. What they faced as a consequence of their revolt in Royal British Indian forces after the transfer of power, no discussion was at all took place in the Indian history. Whether they were rewarded or they were punished, it is also an unknown fact still to go for research. Now I come to you, my dear students, that what led British to take INA officers to trials in the Red Fort in 1945, just after the disband of INA by Netaji and followed by Netaji's departing from Taihoku air crash. It was natural for British to go for military trials against the enemy soldiers of INA. But why they were defended not by an international jurist, but by the non-practicing lawyers who were politically established like Nehru, Kudzu, Sapru and Desai, and the INA officers were left free. What was the chemistry? What was the chemistry formed in this connection between British and congressmen? It was either intimidation to the officers of the INA or made written agreement by force. Actually, INA or Azad Hind Fauj was an army equivalent in the respect of British Army or American Army, because INA was conducted or it was governed by a sovereign government of Azad Hind, which was recognized by 11 sovereign states in the world. So by default, British in natural course for military ethics could not punish straightway, could not place on them the court-martial, the INA men. Secondarily, British was not confirmed by the Scotland Yard that the whereabouts of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, for which they were tremendously terrified by his extraordinary capacity. If he returns, then there might be tremendous setback for British. World never seen such an extraordinary leader combined with many good leadership qualities could have mobilized a strong force at any time. British had realized his tremendous capacity and sound knowledge in international relations and war policy. In this connection, I want to put before you an extraordinary statement made by Pattabi Sitaramaiah on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Quote, he means Subhash Chandra Bose. He is a rare, exceptional, mighty political personality. He is a combination of Alexander, Cromwell, Hitler, Caesar and Napoleon. Not only I myself, even none in India could win against Subhash. It was 100% true, not only to Pattabi, but also the people of this world. If this man was not found, then there would have been a great onslaught for British in India. With this disbanded but psychologically organized INF force, then British would lose everything. So the British had no option than to initiate trials in November 1945 and made a hidden understanding with the Congress to set them free. Two things were done in this regard. One thing was to pacify diplomatically the INF officers and the people of India alike. On the other side, it was made a scope to Congress to get them in the favor for the formation of interim government in 1946. Netaji's aircraft theory was a great diplomatic trap to British as well as Indian leadership to camouflage them for his escape route to Russia and inspecting the situation of India at the favorable moment he would launch his next course of action. Netaji was an extraordinary diplomat. He never exercised his diplomacy to his colleagues and the people of this land because he loved this nation more than anything else. So British was so panicked of Netaji and his associate that they shot dead the subordinate soldiers of INA in Nilganj, Barasat in the district of North 24 Parganas in the year 1946, where they took refuge. Almost 2,000 INA men were shot dead overnightly and removed secretly. The same Congress leaders who were sarcastically pleading for INA in Red Fort, INA officers in Red Fort, but in this case, the reaction was minimal. What was the chemistry formed in this connection between British and congressmen? Was it an intimidation to the officers on made written agreement by the British as CBI or ED, I mean CBI Central Bureau of Investigation in India or Enforcement Directorate in India does with the registered criminals in India today? Instead of that, British sycophant Jawaharlal Nehru, being panicked of momentary absence of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, was more aggressive in complaining to Attlee, the then British Prime Minister, by sending a letter dated 27th December 1945. I just read it out. Just listen what I am reading. Dear Mr. Attlee, I understand from the reliable source that Subhash Chandra Bose, your war criminal, has been allowed to enter Russian territory by Stalin. There is a clear treachery and betrayal of faith by the Russians, as Russia has been an ally of the British Americans, which it should not have done. Please take note of it and do what you consider proper and fit. Yours sincerely, Jawaharlal Nehru. This letter was typed by Shyamlal Jain, the then stenographer of Nehru, who avowed its truthiness. The reason behind writing this letter that he could no longer convince Habibur Rahman to stay in India. Actually, Habibur Rahman stayed in India during 1946 to 1948. So, as he could not convince Habibur Rahman to stay in India, Nehru knew his loyalty to his commander, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He doubted Habib, but menaced by Pakistani politicians. In this regard, I can say that both Congress and Muslim League had same interest and outlook on Netaji, as he means Netaji. Netaji was the only iconic figure of Hindu and Muslim unity and also a strong barrier of vivisection of this nation. I have told you earlier that one-time colleagues became permanent enemy because greediness of power. War criminals tagged by Nehru to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose just to put him in trouble. But the supposed plane crash and followed by the reports by F. Moody, the then Home Member of Government of India, in 1945, in his top secret letter addressed to E. Jenkins, the one of the British ingenuity, suggesting various alternatives as to how Bose should be treated. Now, my dear students, I can easily understand that British top brass and Congress power hankers knew that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was alive. So British went for trial before the military court of law. When Indian situation went beyond the control of British, then dramatically Nehru, Bhulabhai Desai, Kudzu, Sapru came in rescue of INA officers just to eyewash the Indians. But peculiarly, just I mentioned the name of one of the best international jurists, Dr. Radha Vinod Pal, the greatest international jurist, was present here in India, was not allowed to plead for INA officers. If congressmen had any good intention to favor INA men, actually the then Congress leaders altogether sat at the feet of British for mercy for power. And I can also mean that bread. As Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi begged for bread, but British gave in return stone. What it has been happened during the time of Gandhi Arvind Roundtable Conference in 1931 or 32. The easy way of earning in begging. Then it turned into the sycophancy. Do you find Nehru, Patel, Azad made any movements in their constituencies at their own capacity? No, you will not find. They didn't even made any procession against British at their own constituency. You will not find in history. On the other hand, my dear students, as I just said, what should be the alternative treatment of British on Netaji Bose? I mean Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, as far as various pros and cons of these alternatives were concerned, as discussed in the British Ingenuity, which is recorded officially in the Transfer of Power, Volume 6, just post-war phase on page 137. Just follow. First, bring him back to India, means bring Subhash Chandra back to India and try them either for waging war or under the enemy agent's ordinance. Second, have him treated by a camp in Burma or Malwa for waging war against the king in that country. Third, have him tried by a military court outside India. Fourth, intern him in some British possession, that is Seychelles Islands. And finally, number 5, leave him where he is and do not ask for his surrender. This was just the British ingenuity was discussed regarding punishing Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Now the question is arising, why the British were so terrified of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose? Earlier I have told you Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's extraordinary qualities, right from his earlier life. He had exceptional academic merit, which was beyond the capacity of the then Congress leaderships. His admirable diplomatic overlordship in the international relations. In one side, his said mature diplomatic relations with Hitler, Tojo and Mussolini in the Axis group. On the other side, Stalin in Alliance group. And thirdly, you see his extraordinary organizing and mobilizing capacity along with his far-sightedness. He was all along a dedicated patriotic politician. Now, my dear students, today I will tell you one of such story. Which needed to take you back to 1944. The furious war in Kohima, Imphal between Azadian force, which was equipped with less quality arms and manpower in comparison to Anglo-Saxon army. And on the other side, the strong, well-equipped 17th Division of Combined Force of Alliance Power under General Auchinleck. The war continued to take place for 3 months non-stop. The area was so critical in nature that both the forces needed to take strong strategy in every inch. They had to struggle every inch by inch. Ups and downs with dense jungle were in that area. The soldiers of both the forces were struggling to push each other. The motivation was so high rise, and the strategy of INA men ultimately pushed back the Allied force and they fled away. That means the Anglo-Saxon army was fled away. This fiery battle took 3 months from April to July 1st, 1944. There was a tremendous war strategy of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and INA men that put British to think with a new outlook how to check INA. This made Allies force mad, so that they started to work out for a master plan how to check the ferocious INA soldiers. And without doubt, I can say that to check this force, they went for applying atom bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 6th and 9th of August 1945. This was discussed at Chelsea's Military Museum in Britain, and after the end of World War II, a group of war experts voted this Imphal Kohima war against INA by the British American Army overtook the importance of Waterloo and Stalingrad. But how peculiarly in our history book suggested by the NCERT, you will not find Imphal Kohima war such importance as Waterloo and Stalingrad. You will find Waterloo and Stalingrad in the history book of our nation, but you will not find the Kohima Imphal war. It is not unfortunate. It was done deliberately. Thank you, my dear students. Today it is my today's lecture. Next I will lecture you on another issue relating to this matter. Thank you. Jai Hind.